वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीजना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुनतीरवनचारी यमुनतीरवनचारी जय राधमाधव कुञ्ज विहारी गोपीजनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुनतीरवनचारी जय राधमाधव कुञ्ज विहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा नीलमाधव राधा नीलमाधव राधा नीलमाधव श्री राधे जय गौरनिताय 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 श्री गौरनिताय जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तरशत श्री श्रीमद् अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तरशत श्री श्रीमद् भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवत पुराण की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्री गुरु और गौरांग की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. We are reading from Canto 1, Chapter 18, text number 23. Aham hi prushtoryamano bhavadbhir achaksha atma vagamotra yavan nabhapatantyatma samam patatrinas तथा समं विष्णु गतिं विपश्चितः। अहं हि पृष्टोर्यमणो भवद्भिः आचक्ष आत्मा वगमोऽत्र यावान् नभःपतन्त्यात्मसमं पतत्रिणः। तथा समं विष्णुगतिं विपश्चितः। अहं हि पृष्टोर्यमणो भवद्भिर् आचक्ष आत्मा वगमोऽत्र यावान् नभःपतन्त्यात्मसमं पतत्रिणः। तथा समं विष्णुगतिं विपश्चितः। हमने पृष्ठो हम हि पृष्टोर्यमणो भवद्भिः आचक्ष आत्मा वगमोऽत्र यावान् vappatantyatma samam patatrina tasamam vishnu gatam paschita aham vishnu gatam chakshatma vappatantyatma samam aham hi prishtoryamano bhavat achaksha atma vagamotra yavan nabhappatantyatma samam patatrinas तथा समम विष्णुगतम विपश्चितः aham, my humble self, he certainly prishtaha, asked by you, aryamanah, as powerful as the sun, bhavadbihi, by you, achakshe, may describe, atma vagamah, as far as my knowledge is concerned, atra, herein, yavan, so far, nabha, sky, patanti, fly, atmasamam, as far as it can, patatrinah, the birds, tatha, thus, samam, similarly, vishnu gatim, knowledge of Vishnu, vipaschitah, even though learned. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. O Rishis, who are as powerfully pure as the sun, I shall try to describe to you the transcendental pastimes of Vishnu, as far as my knowledge is concerned. As the birds fly in the sky as far as their capacity allows, so do the learned devotees describe the Lord as far as their realization allows. The Supreme Absolute Truth is unlimited. No living being can know about the unlimited by his limited capacity. The Lord is impersonal, personal, and localized. By his impersonal feature, he is all-pervading Brahman. By his localized feature, he is present in everyone's heart as the Supreme Soul. And by his ultimate personal feature, he is the object of transcendental loving service by his fortunate associates, the pure devotees. The pastimes of the Lord in different features can only be estimated partly by the great learned devotees. So Srila Sutta Goswami has rightly taken this position in describing the pastimes of the Lord as far as he has realized. Factually, only the Lord himself can describe himself, and his learned devotee also can describe him as far as the Lord gives him the power of description. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Dam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Barijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Namavom Vishnapadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaham हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। With the blessings of their lordships, Shri Shri Radha Nil Madhav, Shri Shri Gaunitai, Srila Prabhupada, and all the acharyas and all the assembled Vaishnavas. I would like to seek the blessings, and so that before I speak on Srimad Bhagavatam, the section is actually very apt, especially for any speaker. This kind of a meditation is actually very helpful. Actually, this helps the devotee also to be in a right consciousness, so that he'll be able to arrive at the exalted subject matter which a devotee is trying to speak on. Just before this, so there have been multiple discussions, and the Shaunakadi Rishis, they're all very eager and they are wanting to understand about Supreme Lord, about Parikshit Maharaj. So whenever we have heard multiple times philosophy, and when we have heard same pastimes, when we have heard same pastimes, and when we have read and many, and when we have memorized, and when we are remembering all this, usually there is a certain kind of thing that subtly it comes as now I know, and now I can speak, and now I can repeat these words, and so that kind of subtle pride or arrogance, it may come, and that may actually inhibit in actually delivering that message in an appropriate way. But Sutta Goswami is actually setting such a wonderful example where he is utterly honest about his disposition, and is honest about his realization, and he knows his capacity and also the capacity of exalted previous spiritual masters, and by that he is giving that due credit what is what is actually due for them. He is giving that credit, and he is he also knows his level of realization, and he is not putting himself in a very advanced stage than what he is. So that's why at our stage, humility may not be like that of like what Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying, where Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying that I am like a worm in a stool. So our realization of humility might not have gone till there. At least we can be honest about what is my realization, and we should not over estimate ourselves than what we are. So that's why it is said this, in humility the first stage is actually honesty. That means at least a devotee should be honest what he is, and he should not be putting himself in a much advanced platform and trying to take the respect or honor which is due on that level. So I read one very Mahatma Prabhu's one quote. Sometimes I get to read. So Mahatma Prabhu says one amazing quote, He says, as devotees, we are tempted to get others to think that we are more Krishna conscious than we really are. Maharaj says, sometimes we want other devotees to think that I am actually very advanced and I am very Krishna conscious. And we want to prove that externally by impressing or doing something which will show that I am actually very advanced. So then Mahatma Prabhu says, yes, we may get some false satisfaction when people think we are spiritually advanced. So our inner it will start feeling that yes, yeah, I'm actually advanced. Then Prabhuji says, however, the irony is that the need, this is an important statement. The irony is that the need to be seen as advanced is actually what preventing us from actually becoming advanced. So that need, which is to be seen as advanced, that actually prevents us to actually become advanced. That means the need for honor or respect, that kind of thing actually prevents us from actually becoming advanced. So this is what and then another statement he says, when we truly desire to become more humble, we become painfully aware of how often our actions are motivated by the desire to impress others. That means actually this, if we can truly analyze in our own life, I am actually speaking everything for myself. Many times we keep doing activities just to show to others that that I am actually most of the times we do to impress or to keep ourselves in a good image. So that's what actually is an obstacle. That's what Mahatma Prabhu is sharing. So in this example, he is giving very amazing, the word which is being used for this is Atmavagamaha. There it says is, as far as my realization goes, I am going to speak, though I have heard a lot, but I may not speak everything. I am going to speak as far as my realization goes. Now, many times, this I remember that many times we may hear, especially the lectures of very senior sannyasis, and they are pouring out their realizations in their lectures. Now, whenever they may speak very high subject matters, now sometimes we may also say their realizations in our words, but we realize so much that actually very difficult even to speak. Forget about practicing. Sometimes it is very difficult to even speak what they are speaking. But sometimes we may we may actually speak out, but we can see that while we are speaking and those who are hearing also, the effect is not actually brought out. The effect is actually sometimes, and it comes out in like a plain bullet. Sometimes when a gun is shooting a bullet, it has such a great force, and actually it can pierce and it can cause great harm to the person where it is hitting. It can make a great impact. Now, sometimes we may have the same bullet, and whenever we speak out, it is like the bullet which is being just thrown, but it will not carry the effect of, though it is the same message, but the realization, because it is not there, so because of which the message actually will not penetrate the heart, but it will not create that kind of a transformation. So that's why one thing is here Sutta Goswami is saying that though I have heard a lot, but I am going to speak according to my realization. And so there is a similar verse. There is another in third chapter, also 44th verse in the first canto itself. So when they ask about to speak, that time also he repeats. That means this is this bottom line of consciousness. That means this foundation of humility is there. So and it naturally keeps coming out as and when he keeps speaking. So similar thing he speaks even in third chapter. So there the verse is there as it is. I'll just repeat. Tatra kirtayato vipra viprasher bhuri tejasah aham cha adhyagamam tatra nivishtas tadanugrahat so aham vah shravishishyami yathadhitam yathamati. So he is saying, he is giving, now many times we may want to, whenever we share realizations of great souls, many times we may not, sometimes we may not want to say the name of their, and we may want to share it like this is my we may think that this is my realization. So but so it is important that we, actually it's important that we quote the reference. So we quote the names of plagiarism. Like many times, even in YouTube, now we take somebody else's music and we put. Actually, we are that means we will not get the full credit. So like that, whenever we, even in academic, what Proj is saying, we may take references from other books. That's why so many times copyrighted and so many things are there. So now, but we may steal the realizations of great souls, and we may say that, and we may not quote their name. So, but actually, if you see, even Krishna himself, when he is speaking in Bhagavatam, he says, Uddhava is saying like this, or he says that Pingala is saying like this, or that Avadut Brahmana is saying, and Krishna says that even about the basic concept of soul and body. He says that na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sata, ubhayor api drushtantwas tvanayos tattvadarshibhi. He is saying that this is the opinion of all the great souls and all those who are realized sages. That means even Krishna himself is actually giving credit to those who are realized sages. So that means that taking credit for what we don't deserve, that actually makes us actually falsely puffed up. So here also, so that's why here Sutta Goswami is actually very clearly saying that whatever I'm speaking actually is what I have heard from Shukdev Goswami. And I heard him, but he's saying, what is his credit? He's saying, I heard him with rapt attention. So like how Prabhupada also said, my only credit is that I am just giving what previous acharyas are given. I am not doing any adulteration. So Prabhupada is just taking credit for what, he is not taking credit for the message. He is taking credit that at least I am just giving, I am becoming the peon. I am not doing any adulteration. So I heard him with rapt attention, and thus by his mercy, I learned this Bhagavatam from that great and powerful sage. Now what I am going to do, I shall try to make you hear the same message as I have learned it from them, and as I have realized. Yatha adhitam and yathamati. Here also it is very similar, that atmavagamaha and yathadhitam yathamati. As far as I have heard and as far as I have realized, I am going to speak. So of course it is also said one should not be like a parrot, that one should not simply keep speaking, but without practicing it oneself. Otherwise then it will be like a plain bullet which will not have any effect. So one should also try to put it in practice so that it will become realized. But at the same time, one should not overboard speaking realizations of if at all we are just quoting that this is what this great soul says, then it is okay, because we are not we are just sharing what they are what they are realized. So then it is okay, but we should not speak it like our realization. So this is what but another thing he says, he gives very a amazing example. He also puts himself as one of the practitioner, and Sutta Goswami is saying there are many others who are much better than me. Actually, the way he is putting himself is he's saying what? Nabha patanti atma samam patatrina So that means, and tatha samam Vishnu gatim vipaschitah. There are many learned scholars and many devotees who are much better than me. And there may be different devotees who are realizing this subject matter at different levels. According to their capacity, they are realizing. And but I am going to speak according to my capacity. I may not have a great capacity like somebody else, but I'll speak, but I am supposed to speak. So I'll speak, but according to my capacity. Nabha patanti and atma samam. So he is giving example of all the birds. If you see the entire species of birds, they are actually quite unique. They use their flying capacity. That capacity, they use it for migrating, for for themselves nourishment, and also when predators come, so to escape. So they use that flight mechanism for protecting themselves and for locomotion. They use all that. So whenever so different birds have different capacities of this flight mechanism, which is inbuilt, which has come on its own. It is not that they would have tried a bit to get whatever the capacity or the potential they have. Now let's say walking is there, that potential is there in a human being. Now with that walking potential, but that walking potential also has to be earned. Whenever a small child is there, he has to practice it to learn to walk. Similarly, that birds, they have to also practice to learn that flying, but they can at most reach their potential. They cannot become somebody else. Now that's why it is said there are birds who fly at a very different heights. There are birds which fly almost like few feet above, 500 feet, 600 feet high in the sky. There are some which fly at 5,000, 6,000 feet high, very high, that we can keep seeing. Now there are some birds which can fly sometimes at a height of 37,000 feet high. Now this is the 37,000 feet. That means actually whenever planes which want to go very far distance, and that is the height which they at most reach. There are some birds like vultures, they actually go at that plane of such a great height. We may think, why should they go so high? If at all they want to go, they can go at a lesser height also, na? Why should they go so high? Unnecessarily because whenever there is a takeoff, it requires huge capacity also, huge exertion is required. But it is said vultures go so high because of two reasons majorly. One is whenever they go, majorly for vultures, they can span great area for their food, because when they go so high, they can actually see from where is actually the other vultures are feasting on, so that they can also go there. And at the same time, they can spot where is what, because they have actually very good eyesight, because of which they can actually see. This is one. Another is also because below the clouds, there is sometimes a lot of the closer to the ground, the warmer the atmosphere is. But as they go higher, their dehydration actually reduces. That's why they actually fly at a greater heights. So that's how when they are going like that, actually they can see from a top view. Now, devotees also want to go high, but they go high for what? But actually, when the devotee's consciousness rises high and high above, actually they can see things in a much clearer perspective. They can actually go beyond the dualities of attachment and aversion. Actually, they can overcome hatred, all the dualities of whether it's happiness, distress, all such dualities they can overcome when they go higher and higher. So So as a devotee goes higher and higher, but how will he be able to go higher? If you see, when Hanuman, when he was actually jumping from Mahendra Parvat, actually he had to, the amount with which he had to rise high in the air, that much he had to push himself down, and with that great force he actually climbed. So many times we may think that I want to go high, but actually it is said, if at all we want to go high, actually we should also be able to go down in our humility. Not in consciousness. Consciousness, we should keep ourselves high, but in terms of humility, we should be able to put ourselves in a very lower pedestal. With that force, actually, we'll be able to rise higher. That's actually the spiritual formula. We think that if I put myself in a better position, then I'm actually considered advanced. But actually, in a spiritual realm, the formula works actually opposite. That more the devotee actually thinks himself, or puts himself in a more humble state, the more the devotee is actually, the more he advances, and the more actually mercy also that he receives. So the way that Sutta Goswami is putting himself, he's saying that I am actually explaining as far as my realization goes. He is not saying that I have heard everything and I've realized everything and I'm going to speak and I'm going to deliver that message to you. He's not speaking in that manner. Now, if that is the way, all the Shaunakadi Rishis would not have been so much inspired. If the devotee is putting himself in a humble state, the devotee will be more, all the audience will be in a much more, they'll be able to put themselves, they'll put much better trust on the speaker when he is showing that humility. So Sutta Goswami is actually displaying that the very substance which a Bhagavatam speaker is supposed to have, that he is not taking a credit of the message and the realizations of the previous acharyas. He is just acting himself like a peon. Once Srila Prabhupada was one of the disciple, he brought a picture of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. At that time, he tells Prabhupada, in this picture, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur looks very much similar to you. This is what the disciple says. And for that, Srila Prabhupada says, my spiritual master is like gold and I am like iron. There is no comparison. But we both are metals. But my spiritual master is like gold. I am like iron. So that means the very substance of a great soul is in his honest and true disposition of being a humble servant. So with that disposition can actually the devotee make a proper progress. If that disposition is not there, then it becomes very difficult for the devotee also to receive mercy. Because one problem with especially neophyte stages, that we actually, especially we start knowing a lot of philosophy and we know a lot of scriptural knowledge that is there. So our intellectual capacity is also there, high. And because of which, sometimes we see that normal people, they don't know anything. On one side, we know so much about scriptures, Gita, Bhagavatam, or many other scriptures. Or we know so much. But we see that common people, they don't know anything. And we start thinking that actually I am better than them. So this one thought comes. And at the same time, because of the spiritual discipline which our superiors and acharyas have laid down in terms of regulations on being bhakti, our moral standards are also high. Our lifestyle and our moral standards, when they are high, both our intellectual and in terms of knowledge and in terms of our lifestyle, because our standards are higher, we actually start subtly feeling that they are fallen, and we are much elevated. So when we start having this internal thought process, then actually whenever any person comes, at that time also we may not be able to give Krishna, because the very essence of Krishna consciousness is we share the message. But when we share the message with this thought process, usually what happens is that person starts feeling that he is very actually fallen. And when he starts feeling that he's very fallen, he doesn't feel inspired or encouraged. Instead, he becomes distanced. He goes away from us, because we start subtly. Jai Shri Shri Radha Nil Madhav Bhagwan ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaun Nitai ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki. We start actually condescending. We start denigrating him in terms of his either standards or in terms of his knowledge, that he doesn't know anything, or he is following such a low standard. We may subtly start giving that kind of indications to people. And with that indications, actually, because people usually actually can subtly they can sense. When they sense that they are actually pointing to me like this, they actually become, they go away, and they go away sometimes from Krishna also. So that in that sense, but bigger damage sometimes we may cause to ourselves, because we also become distanced from Krishna, because the reason is our heart becomes actually dry, and we will not be able to taste. With that kind of attitude, we will not be able to taste the simple bhakti, the simple joy that comes through doing japa, that comes through being in association of devotees, reading Bhagavatam. But we may expect our taste to come from some other peripheral things. So, but the real taste which actually the bhakti gives, we ourselves will not be able to taste, and we may cause harm to ourselves, and we may cause harm to others also. So that kind of internal pride actually can also harm in our path of spiritual life. So this is what Chaitanya Charan Prabhu also many times he keeps. Somehow I had heard. So this is what Chaitanya Charan Prabhu also was sharing in this line. But actually, one thing is surely whatever I spoke, it is today it is beyond my realization, and I have shared which I'm also struggling with. So all devotees can pray for me, and so that because sometimes I may speak on some subject matters which may be beyond my realization. And thank you all very much. And Fraji, please, you can add, and other devotees also please can share whatever they wish to share. Yes. Thank you. You want to add, Fraji, something?
Putting the speaker on the litmus test. Himself, Sutta Goswami, is exhibiting his humility and his qualification for speaking Srimad Bhagavatam is clearly indicated that who can sit on the Vyasasana and speak Srimad Bhagavatam. So you give very appropriate connection and verses. Exactly, you went to the verse of his third canto, 43rd verse of Yatha Shrutam. As per my whatever intelligence goes, and whatever so far I heard from my spiritual master, I will speak. And same Prahlad Maharaj also speaking that now I am going to Vigata Viklava. I am going to give up my false humility. that I'm considering myself fallen. Okay, I'm fallen, but I will give up my that humility and let me yatha manishyam sarvatmana mai grinami sarvatmana. I will put my all efforts today. Mai grinami. I will surely glorify you. Yatha manishina. Whatever intelligence so far you have given me. So this is a common theme of all the devotees speaking on Srimad Bhagavatam. Their realizations, whatever we speak also, sometimes realizations, they are in line with the realizations of Acharya. And they're that's why they are authentic. Anything, whatever you speak, a speaker cannot take the credit. Because as soon as he thinks that his realization outstanding, then he is outside parampara. What is meant to say? Outstanding means what?
He's standing outside.
Out the parampara. So we don't want outstanding realizations. We want realization in line. So whatever you discuss, that shows your maturity as a Bhagavatam speaker. And I'm very happy to see you so mature, devotee and speaker from my heart. So thank you very much. I'm feeling very nourished by hearing your class. And very many personal application also for me. Hearing. So I could also see if I submissively hear, I also get a lot. And I should hear. Thank you.